Hey everybody, I've been getting the question a lot here from people as of late, asking me, when is this housing market that is so red hot, when is the bubble coming, and when are things going to crash? This is really tricky because when you're talking about buying assets, remember there's only two ways that you can actually buy investments. You're either a loaner or you're an owner. And one of the most challenging things to do when you buy investments is around timing. This is why if you talk to any investor, when it comes to equity investments where you are an owner, owning things like gold or silver, owning things now like cryptocurrency, and even owning real estate, ownership in general requires that you have a 3, 5, 7, maybe even a 10-year time frame when you own these assets, because timing can be very dangerous. One would have expected maybe a year ago or 2 years ago that this market might go down, but it didn't, because maybe interest rates were going to go up or because inventory was going to get bigger again. But let's talk about why it won't crash right now. First and foremost, listen, interest rates are incredibly low. When you have mortgage rates at 3 or 3.3%, that's historically low. Now I know that some of you might have gotten a mortgage for less than 3%, but I remember when I bought my first house, this was in 1993, and I had an 8.5% mortgage on that house. So when you think about the squeeze of what make prices go down, it's typically going to happen when you see interest rates get higher, because you can just buy less of a home. Now, if you go on a Microsoft Excel, there are some very simple things called loan amortization calculators, and you can pull those out and play with the numbers and see, well, what could I exactly afford? But I'm going to tell you that every time an interest rate goes up by 1%, you might see that payment go up by $500 to $600. So that could be pretty significant when you think about what kind of mortgage payment you can afford. So one is, interest rates are low, and Chairman Powell said that interest rates are going to continue to stay low. Second thing is about the law of supply and demand. You know, this is like the basic principle for so many things in life. If you can really grasp this one, you'll understand a lot more about investing in a simple way, even if you aren't a financial genius. So right now we're at a 40-year low of inventory, 40 years. And simply put, what that means is when people look for a home, especially in hot neighborhoods, I don't care if you live in LA or you're in Denver or you're in a place like I live in Atlanta, when you're in those types of hot markets and you have really, really low inventory and you have a lot of demand, it's going to sustain that prices are higher. That's true for everything. One of the things why people are asking this question is because of what happened in 2008. And that's when people saw the housing market completely get obliterated. Remember that this is not 2008. And in 2008, there were a lot of banks and mortgage companies that were writing what was called to be zero-doc loans. Zero-doc loans simply meant this. It meant that people could show no verified income whatsoever and still get a mortgage for $500,000. That's not the way that it is today. Even if you have enough assets in the bank to basically pay off the house, you still have to get verified from an income perspective. And that means that a lot less bad paper was written right now. And that's one of the reasons you won't see quite the same housing crash. But I will tell you that ultimately there are many people that have been in mortgage forbearance with the CARES Act that started last year in March or April, that allowed people to sort of kick the can down the road without paying their mortgage. Somewhere this summer in June, or it may get extended to somewhere in the fall, eventually people will have to pay back their mortgage. And so you will see some foreclosures, in my opinion, somewhere in the fourth quarter or somewhere in the beginning of 2022, simply for the fact that people will not be able to actually make a mortgage payment, and that will have some foreclosures. But you won't see a crash anytime soon until those metrics change. Interest rates go up, inventory gets a lot higher, and ultimately, if we see some sort of depression in the job market, which we're not seeing now, all of those are the factors of what would create a crash, and I just don't see that happening right now. If you're wondering and you're thinking about buying a home and you're wondering to yourself, what kind of mortgage can I afford? Check out the video I put together on like what is the right type and kind of mortgage that you should get, and how can you actually afford a mortgage that makes sense for your income today. That's right here on the What Ted Says channel. Check that one out, and appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully it helps give you some context about that red hot question. What's gonna happen? When is the market gonna crash? And I hope you enjoyed this episode.